Welcome back to We're Gonna Die.
Welcome back to We Are Going to Do Just Fine, because there's a skilled player at the helm with a good, valid weapon, with a badass cat.
Oh, yeah, well, actually, that is very true. We do have a badass
About to say, if you Alistair,
he's gonna kill me. He's gonna come to my house and kill me.
I'll unlock the door for him. That's what I'll do.
There's the f***er. Kill him.
Yeah, it's gonna be like that Family Guy joke with the deer. You just don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Where he looks through the scope of his gun, sees the deer by the river, takes a second, but then looks through it again. Deer's pointing behind him. He looks up and there's like 8 deer with baseball bats, and he goes, "Should have taken the shot, asshole," and just beat the hell out of him.
Oh, I love it. Back when I really liked Family Guy jokes.
They still have some good ones.
They have. I can't watch a Family Guy episode anymore. They
still have some creative musical numbers.
They do. I like the musical numbers, but every time I watch a Family Guy episode, it feels like copy and paste, to be honest.
Well, that happens with, at least in my opinion, with any show that goes on for a long time.
When a TV show overstays its welcome, like The Simpsons. I don't think I've ever told you this, but I absolutely hate the new Simpsons episodes.
You did. You mentioned it briefly once, but that was, I think, during the Shadow of Mordor playthrough.
I think so.
Because you mentioned how there was, like, the editing was much faster, and the jokes just felt like a bunch of little ones and not really any good big ones.
No. It's like, feel free to challenge me on this if you have a different opinion, but it's like, when you think of The Simpsons, I feel like this show, I don't think it can't be fast-paced. I think it excels at slow-paced comedy. You know, it's like it's like the comedy builds up, if that makes sense. And you know, there's a few jokes I can think of. It's when the new episodes I was watching on Hulu were around, it's like joke here, joke here, joke here. And like the episode's about like this one joke that happens in the very beginning, and that's like the title of the episode, but then it doesn't show up anymore for the rest of the episode. It may come back as like one little off joke again, but it's not the focus. You know, when you go to an episode, it's like, oh, here's the title of this episode. You think, okay, the episode's going to be about this. Yeah. But when you only have like 5 minutes of it being the episode, should that really be the title?
Yeah, because see, like, Family Guy, you said it's kind of like copy and paste. It is fully aware of its kind of motif where it will start with a plot A, but then after 5 or 10 minutes, it gets into the real plot B, which is going to be what the episode's about.
Yeah.
So, basically, you know, anything that Family Guy starts off with, it's going to change into the actual plot of the episode, and then the name of the episode will actually make a lot more sense.
Well, the copy and paste aspect to me is, this might be really obvious, but Peter and Lois's marriage is very copy and paste in my opinion. And why is it copy and paste? Peter does something stupid that gets Lois mad at him, and their marriage is in jeopardy. Then Peter does something stupid again, but Lois is like, "Oh, I love you." Then, you know, let's make this up. And then the episode ends like nothing ever happened. So in the end, Peter is still a jackass, and the marriage is still in shambles, and their kids are messed up. Which again, it's an adult cartoon. It's supposed to happen. But there's a part of me where Family Guy has been able to make permanent things happen in one of their episodes to where it carries on in future episodes. In this, it's like, oh, here's this big change that's happened. Oh, this is actually really bad. I learned my lesson, and let's go back to everything's back to normal. You know, there's no change. And yes, there are episodes where it's self-aware of it. Yeah. I just don't like that kind of episodes in a TV show.
Well, when I first noticed that all the cutaways are clearly gags because there's no way all of this can happen and then still function like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mentioned that and that this was like when I first saw it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that happened. Oh, wait, no, he died in that cutaway, so that didn't happen. It's all just for the jokes. I noticed that as well, but it almost seemed like part of the joke was that nothing mattered in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because it almost felt like that was poking fun of its source material, which is the family dramas and the comedies, like your Brady Bunch, your Growing Pains, your stuff like that. In which, very simple, Partridge Family, things like that, where a lot of stuff would happen in an episode. It might be that, someone deals with a very serious issue, or some wacky things would happen at the school, but by next episode, it's all copacetic again.
Mm-hmm.
But where it was supposed to do that to help each episode stand alone and show the moral of that particular episode, and only have a couple of things carry over through continuity, Family Guy does it very self-awarely as the joke of, oh no, see all the shit that happens? Yeah, we're not going to mention it again. Until in much later seasons when they're like, no, if we carry certain things over into other episodes, we can keep playing off of it.
Yeah.
And it's to me it is almost a bit funnier when they do carry some things over
Exactly.
and have a bit of continuity.
Like, I know one joke was when the Cleveland show started, and I don't, if I'm right, that the show's dead pretty much now.
Yeah, it's gone.
But there was that, the classic of Cleveland on the tub when his house breaks down. It's like, no, 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 and then, he falls down. There was one scene where the house breaks and Cleveland's not in the tub and it crashes and Peter just goes in the background. Oh, yeah, Cleveland moved.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, Cleveland moved.
Yeah, you see, like, I think I would appreciate Family Guy better if it actually carried things over. Again, it doesn't have to. I know Family Guy's formula, but when you have like 10 episodes from various seasons about how crappy the family's marriage is, mm-hmm. I feel like that's when they're starting to run out of ideas, no matter how much randomness they can put into it. Yeah. It's like, I do believe Family Guy is a smart TV show, despite what kind of humor it has. I believe
it very often has very smart ideas.
I believe it's very intelligent. I just wish it would sometimes act like that in some ways.
Yeah, well, like, it sounds a bit weird when I say it like that, but it's like oh, it has very crude humor, but it can be very intelligent. Well, I look at it like this. They had a special, it was a Christmas special, in which Stewie is determined to meet Santa Claus, the real one.
I remember that because Brian died and stuff like that.
No.
Oh, this is a different episode.
Yeah, this is a special in which Stewie wants to actually meet the real Santa Claus, and
oh yeah, now I know what you're talking about. And
it actually opens with a musical number about all the things that all the people around town want.
Yeah,
And some of it's, normal stuff, but then it gets kind of bigger and larger, and you see kind of like the jokey aspect of it. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I just took it as the joke that it was for of, wow, that escalated quickly.
Mm-hmm.
From, I want, I want a grocery card so that I can buy a whole bunch of groceries, to, I want a freaking yacht.
Yep.
To sail to the Caribbean in my private island.
Oh, I want Asian girls to choke me till I faint. That was Quagmire.
Yeah, that was Quagmire's. But, they have that, and it's a very catchy song. But then through the episode, you have Stewie wanting to meet the real Santa, dragging Brian along, and they actually find the actual North Pole, and it's a show.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Santa is this decrepit old sick man. The elves are distorted and just they only try their best because they're like, some of them are actually brain dead. And it goes into another musical number, which is very well done and actually kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Where Santa basically goes like, no, people have kept asking and asking for more and more stuff, and we aren't allowed to slack off, apparently, because the minute we do, people stop caring about us.
Yeah.
So we've had to keep going faster and faster and more until it's just our lives are now a literal hell. And at the end, they actually bring Santa onto a news show and wheel him out in a wheelchair and an IV.
Yeah.
To show, like, this is what we're doing to not just Santa Claus, but to Christmas.
Yeah.
And everyone realizes, like, well, how about we just ask for one thing we want?
Yeah.
It's something that we actually could use. And suddenly, at the end, that's what everyone does. And the North Pole goes back to normal. Santa's normal, the elves are normal, everything's back to normal. So you have something that starts off as just, the joke, and the joke of everything in the North Pole being, completely screwed up. And then there's the overall moral, though, of, no, it's actually trying to teach a very, very interesting lesson of, commercialism and consumerism is okay in and of itself. It's when it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it's getting out of hand, that the real problems can occur. So if you want to, get stuff at Christmas and give stuff to people at Christmas and receive stuff at Christmas, wonderful. It's when all you think about is the receiving and the how much and this and that it can become problematic.
Yeah.
Which you can see every year at Christmas time. You do not have to worry. But it had a very smart idea. It just went about its way of talking about it.
I agree. And I think you and I both have seen the real ways of Christmas over the holidays, especially me, since I've worked in retail for a while.
Yeah. There is a certain amount of... I'm just going to say it, de-romanticizing of Christmas through the years as you grow up.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes in retail, there is no joy during certain days during the holidays. It is just awful.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, I noticed, so many of the movies were about, people who worked in retail or had a large business that they had to contend to, and they always hated the holidays. Oh, I hate the holidays, everyone's so needy or mean or uncaring, so I decided to become mean and uncaring to deal with it all. But then as you grow up and you enter those situations, you're like, no freaking wonder he was an ass.
Yeah.
I want to be an ass right now.
Dude, people are jerks.
So, yeah, it definitely, reality definitely catches up with you. And, there's actually, not a lot of people like this movie. In fact, they hate it. I enjoy it. It's the live-action version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I actually like that movie, too.
I think it has some funny moments. I think Jim Carrey's energy and physical comedy is really awesome in that. Yeah, some of the jokes are stupid, but hey, life. And the song that Cindy Lou sings, and actually Faith Hill does a full version of at the end of the film, it actually has a lot of, subtle, hard-hitting truths in it.
I like how we're talking about Christmas and we're fighting an ice monster.
Oh, absolutely. It's beautiful coincidence.
Yes.
But it's talking about where are you Christmas? And it's talking about how when a child grows up, there is a certain amount of the Christmas magic that's lost.
Absolutely.
When you have to start thinking about the world and what it means to you as a person, and how people act during this time, and then justify it. And there's a line that goes, "My world is changing. I'm rearranging. Does that mean Christmas changes too?" Did the overall meaning have to change with me?
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a sucky thought. But you realize where it comes from as you grow up, and you want to tell yourself, like, no, I'm just becoming extraordinarily cynical, but I'm actually going to tune that off for just a few days. And I think that's when you realize, like, oh, that's what I can do during this time. You know, I don't have to be the goody two-shoes on the Hallmark Channel, but I can turn off the cynical asshole for a few days.
Yeah.
And just let some people be happy in their own way. Because tomorrow's gonna come around regardless, and I can just flip that switch back on with no problems.
Mm-hmm. Wish I had some retail Christmas stories. I don't really remember. I kind of blanked out my previous job altogether.
One of the ones you told me about was a woman who kept arguing with you about the price matching.
Oh yeah.
And it was like I think you told me she was like there for 30 minutes trying to argue that the price that you were selling it at was too high, and you had the price matching sale going on, and she was saying that it was sold cheaper at another place and she wanted it at that price, and you kind of keep telling her, like, ma'am, you kind of have to prove that.
Yeah,
you can't just go on your word that, you know, it's cheaper somewhere else, and like 30 minutes later your manager's just like, ma'am, why don't you go there and buy it then?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, because what people would do is they would show from Amazon or eBay that it's going at this price. And we're like, when we mean price matching, we mean competitor retailers pretty much in our area, what they sell it for, we'll sell it for that, basically.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people have to realize that it's not like, oh, if they're doing a 50% sale off on this item, we're not going to give it for 50%. That's a special they're doing. We're talking their regular retail price, you know? And people may think that's a ripoff. No, that makes perfect sense. If it's going for $5 off at one place, we'll sell it for $5 off. You just got to show us the proof.
Yeah, and honestly, that's not that big of a deal if you think about it, as far as proving it wise, because then it's like, oh, this is a good store. They're willing to do this. Yeah. As long as you do it correctly.
Yeah. It's like I'm sorry, if they're having a special, we can't price match specials. I mean, that's just a thing they're doing.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, if someone brought in something from eBay and said, like, you have to match this price, I would actually have to tell them, like, pull it up right now. I'm willing to bet that price has now changed.
Yeah.
Because that is an auction site where the prices change constantly. And I'm willing to bet if you pull up that exact same item from another person, their price is different.
This thing is about to frickin' die. Damn it.
That would have been so cool if that had actually been it, though.
I know.
So yeah, the retail world is...
it's a cool place.
It is very unforgiving for employees and customers alike.
See, like, oh, did you see that? Oh,
that was good.
I was about to take flight, and I just rejected it.
You went NBA rejected off of it.
All right, come on. Yeah.
And just like that, it is no more.
But that is the Legiana, my favorite monster in this game.
Do you notice we talked about Christmas for like a solid 7 minutes out of that fight?
Yeah, and then we talked about something else before then. To be honest, I completely forgot. Oh my goodness.
Comedy shows.
Yeah, that's right, comedy
Family
shows.
Guy.
Simpsons. Family Guy. Retail. Christmas.
This is how conversations work. One subject goes to another.
Only on the 8-bit players, people. Oh my goodness.
No, not only on the 8-bit players. Only on the 8-bit players will you get this kind of conversation. But don't be surprised if those kind of leaps in logic happen in your regular life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure everyone has that friend. Everyone knows that friend who will make some ridiculous non sequitur and just change topics for no reason other than they wanted to change topics.
Yeah. And it's not like the one was like, okay, can we change conversations here? It's just like they immediately go into it.
Yeah, it's, almost like the dog who sees the squirrel. It's like, oh, yes, the stock market is rather disappointing lately. I got a call from my own stockbroker, and he was all in a fit. So, my kid's PTA meeting's coming up.
Yep.
What? And I need to know what to bake and bring with me. Because if Joyce shows up with another batch of her brownies, I'm f***ed.
Because we all know it's not. We all know that secret recipe is not just more chocolates.
What do you think? What do you think her secret recipe is? Probably the cocaine her husband buys. What? Nothing. Nothing at all.
All right, so we killed the Legiana with love.
We did.
With love.
Mm-hmm.
And now we get to descend down into the Rotten Vale.
Okay.
And we're going to do that next time. Well, sorry, the deeper levels into the Rotten Vale.
The deeper levels of the Rotten Vale.
Yes. So we get to enjoy that next time, everyone.
We're going Switchblade deep next time on the 8-Bit Players.
Later.